the hazards, the law says they have to have a minimum of 30%, so they obviously got that in the filed petition. For us to recognize them as a union, we went back and said, we want to vote, we want to make it fair, put it all out there, we're going to do a private vote. So we filed a petition back to say, we want to have joint to vote. Chicago North, and then moved to Chicago North, and because we do so much MSRT work back and forth between Chicago North and Chicago South, 40% of our work is closed between those two offices from Frost Tech in that we filed to go ahead and have Chicago North has to be part of the collective bargaining unit as well. Well, for whatever reason, it's coming over to Algonquin, and they're having conversations with you guys here, and so what do you got in front of this? So I want to just talk about what's going to happen. The first step of it, they're going to probably be talking to you guys if they haven't already. They have the right to be out on the street when you guys are leaving, have conversations with you. They'll be putting pizza parties together for you guys, so you guys go attend meetings. During those meetings, they're going to ask you to sign a card, a petition, whatever it is. So I just want to discuss that with you guys. So what does the card really say? So on the card, read whatever you need to sign. This is just about being informed and making sure you understand what you're signing. So what does the card really say? The card really says that it wants represent me as an NLRA Section 9A bargaining representative. Translated, be my sole representative to speak with management on all terms and conditions of my employment. What it really means is you as an individual employee will no longer be allowed to discuss terms and conditions of your employment directly with management. So that card, when you read it, it's written by a lawyer, it's legal, and it's binding, right? So, and on the card, they ask you for even your social security number. They're gonna, I've heard that they say, well, if you just want future information, whatever it is, please sign this, or whatever it is. We want to make sure that you fully understand you have the right, as an employee, to go ahead and sign anything you want. This isn't me coming up here and saying do or don't. It's just an educational part on what that card actually means. So by signing that, you are actually saying that you want them to represent you going forward. And it also is in there, it's with all present and future employees. So you are joining the union and not just while you work here at DirectSat. What it really means is you will follow the union's rules, which they will not show you until after you join, and maybe not even then. So we will say, show me your bylaws. Go and ask for the Constitution and ask for the bylaws. Say, show me your information. We show you ours. You get the employee handbooks. We tell you the rules of what we're going to govern you by. Ask them for their rules on what they're going to govern you by. So all we're saying is just get the information before you proceed with anything and just be well informed. Is it really a legal document? The authorization is non-expiring, binding, and valid until such time as I submit written revocation. Translated, by signing you are legally bound. What it really means is you cannot get out unless you send a revocation. And what that means is, we're not sure. So you're going to want to ask. You're going to ask the union representatives, whoever's going to be at a meeting or whatever it is, the people that are asking you to sign a card, say, all right, if I sign it now, how do I get out of it? And have them explain to you what the process is in terms of getting out. It's not as simple as we think it is. So ask them, what is the letter? Where do I have to go to file the letter? What's the letter format? Whatever it is, ask them what it means is that once you sign that legal document and you commit yourself to being, have them authorized to collect the bargain for you, if you change your mind and want to get out of it, exactly, just ask them, how do I get out of it in the future? So the presentation I got was really for Chicago North. We did this presentation a couple of weeks ago. Some of the slides, I didn't want to put it up here. Some of the slides were specifically written for them. So, important facts about authorization cards. They have no expiration date. They can be collected over time. There's no effective legal way to revoke a card. Cards are legal documents. The union can say or promise employees anything to get a card signed. The union can even lie, and a card will still be valid. So I want to explain to you the difference between what the union and as an employer, what we can and cannot do. So the union can promise you things because a union can only ask. When a union wants to go ahead and bargain with us, they can only ask. They can't force us to do anything. They can't force change upon us. They can only ask us to make a change. So they can make promises, threats, whatever they want to do, and say whatever they want because there's no way for them to follow through on that. I can't stand up here and make a promise to you, I can't stand up here and make a threat to you, because as an employer, I could follow through with that promise or threat, right? I'm not gonna, I don't wanna make a promise saying something's gonna get better in the future, because I can actually make that change and make that better. Or I don't wanna make a threat saying, come on, obviously, and I can't make a threat saying, if this does happen, then this happens, because I actually, as an employer, could affect that change as well. So we're not gonna sit and promise, threaten anything. We're gonna sit here and just educate you guys, have dialogue with you guys. If you have questions, go ahead, ask the questions. If we're legally allowed to answer them, we'll answer them. If not, we'll refer you back to, I'll refer you to HR, or refer you to the legal department. I'm kind of learning this experience as well, so a lot of times if you could ask me a question, you might just hear say, I don't know, I'll get back to you, or I gotta clear it with legal to make sure I'm allowed to answer that question, because I'm actually, the law says that because I can't threaten and promise, there's certain things I can and cannot do, right? So I wanna be careful about not violating your rights as employees, decide whether or not you wanna go union or non-union.
But as a fellow employee, I can threaten their lives, correct? If they wanna go to union?
So, no, you can't threaten the life of an employee.
No, that would get you fired right away.
Just asking.
I appreciate the humor.
No, I mean, that's not humor, I'm just asking. I mean, this is stupid. I mean, if people wanna go to union, we're talking, you know, you'll be lucky if you get $9 or $10 an hour, crap like that. I mean, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I've been around a long time, and I've seen it go, because it doesn't work. So it's ridiculous. It's a waste of our time. We shouldn't even have to be here because of this. So I've said my piece. Go ahead, sorry.
So, it's important that you guys understand it's not a waste of time, because it's a reality and it is here, and it's something that we're all gonna have to deal with. So if you wanna go union, you all collectively sit here and say, yes, we wanna go union, that is your right. We will in turn do good faith negotiations, go to contract, whatever it is, and we'll abide by all laws. You have that right. If you don't want the union, I would suggest you being very vocal on the other side, because the union guys are being very vocal. This is what's gonna happen. So during a vote, that collective bargaining unit, before we go to a vote, is gonna be decided. And by the way, there's nothing going on right now because the government shutdown does affect the NLRB, so there's no movement whatsoever in terms of this process until the government reopens. As soon as the government reopens, we will decide who the collective bargaining unit is gonna be. The lawyers do that, the union does that to decide who the base of the technicians are gonna be. I don't know if you'll be involved with that or not. They may come back and say they want you guys involved because they have a fair share of you that wanna be part of this whole thing, right? So I don't know what it's gonna be. Just so you know what happens. Once they decide that collective bargaining unit, there's gonna be a vote. We've asked for the vote, there'll be a vote. If only 5 technicians show up, let's just say we put Chicago South, Chicago North, and Algonquin as the collective bargaining unit, everybody agrees that those are the units those are the techs that we're talking about. They hold a vote. If only 5 technicians show, we're talking 160 techs at that point. If only 5 of you showed for a vote, and 3 of them vote yes, then all 160 technicians are a union. So I appreciate the fact that you said your piece and you're done, right? But it's just very important you guys understand you have to be involved in this process. This is just like voting for a president. You have to get involved. Whether you like it, whoever you want to vote for or not vote for, you have to cast your vote, you have to be involved, you have to get educated. All we're doing is saying at this point, we really just want you guys to be educated. And if you truly feel at the opposite side of that you don't want a union, we want you to go vote no. And the flip side of that is if you're really true that you want a union, then you need to go vote yes. That means we failed as an employer and we did something wrong. There's obviously things that you guys felt we needed to address and fix, and you needed somebody to, on your part, discuss it for you, because we're not hearing you. So if that's the way you feel, you're going to go union. So you have to be part of this. So they do have the 30% already. So they've already filed. So as soon as the government reopens, then NLRB will decide what the go forward is in terms of whether there's going to be a vote or not. So the process was delayed a little, just so you're aware. They filed the ULP against us, which is an unfair labor practice. And it was in terms of us terming an employee. We feel that we did nothing wrong with the term of the employee. It was justified. The employee that we're discussing is an employee that last year had a vehicle accident that involved the death of an elderly lady crossing the street in a crosswalk in downtown Chicago. We settled I was actually there for the mediation of it, and we settled the claim for $850,000. We ran the record, and it was decided that because we finalized everything, that there was a driving issue and we couldn't let him drive a COV anymore. So we offered the technician a different position within the company that didn't require him to drive a vehicle. He declined all positions. We went warehouse, dispatch, whatever we were trying to do just to get him in somewhere, because we didn't want to do a term. He decided to leave. He forced us to do a term, so they filed a ULP against us in regards to that. So, and then they filed some other ULPs, which is just things that happen. Threw a lot of things out there. I feel confident that we didn't violate any laws. But in the meantime, the NLRB did say, we want to resolve the ULPs that have been filed before we go forward with the vote. So those have to be reconciled prior to any vote. So there's going to be a couple of weeks. I don't know how long the government shutdown is going to happen, how long until they come back up. So nothing's going to happen until they come back online. But once that happens, it'll be a couple of weeks before we actually go to a vote. So we'll have a lot more communication. We'll give you a lot more information, just education and information. But once it goes to a vote, whether you guys want to be part of it or not, it's up to you. So let me just go back again to why you're involved. So we did decide that we wanted Chicago North to be part of that. It does seem that, I don't know if they're filling you guys out to see if there's enough of you to say yes, they want to be part of it here or not. I do know that they were a meeting, potentially there was already a meeting. If not, there's going to be one scheduled. You have the right to go to a meeting. Don't care if you go to a meeting or not. I suggest you all go to the meeting, to be honest with you, to get informed from their side. And if you're against it, then ask the hard questions to them. And if you're for it, I'm still going to say, ask the hard questions to them. Ask the hard questions to us. Right, just ask the hard questions to either side. So if they haven't had the meeting yet, if there's a meeting scheduled, I suggest that you go. We're just saying, when you go to the meeting, I just want to make sure that you're all well informed. Don't sign anything until you're absolutely 100% positive that either A, you're for it, because you have to be for it if you're going to sign it. If you're not for it, don't fall into a trap by signing it and just saying, I want more information, whether you want it or not. If you're just asking for information, you don't have to sign the card, is all I'm saying, to get the information. You still have the right to go to the meeting and ask the questions and make your own decision before signing the card. You don't need to sign the card to go to the vote, right? So you don't have to sign anything until you're 100% comfortable that your work you want
know
to sign.
what you're signing.
Exactly. It is a legal document and it'll follow you. And this view, this slide here, I should have put it up. But it does say, this is why are you involved? The union is here. I appreciate hearing some of you guys just say you don't want any part of it, this and that. It's a fact of life. It's going to be part of your life until the vote is done and either A, we go yes or no, right? So it's going to be part of your life. It's absolutely here. I don't know if have they been here? Have they talked to technicians?
You said if 3 people vote, then we're union?
He said if 3 out of 5. If only
So
5
in
show
order
up.
in order to go union, it has to be 50% plus 1 of the voting of the voting collective. If only 5 people show to go to a vote, that would mean only 3 of them would need to be a yes, and then everybody would be part of the union.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying.
3 no's, and then the answer is no, there is no union. All right, it has to be 50%, or even 2 no's, or no, it'd be 3. Out of 6, it'd be 3, right? It has to be 50% plus 1 of who goes to vote.
Out of 6, you'd have to have 4.
Huh?
Okay, so just.
Well, I said 6, it would be 3 no's. So 50% plus 1 of whoever shows up to vote. We're talking, if you guys are part of this, and there's 160 technicians, 10 techs show, they need 6 votes. Right? So and that's all they need, and that would affect the rest of you. This is why we're saying it's important. The reality is, it's here, it's part of our life. Whether you're for it or not, start getting involved and making sure that you're asking the tough questions on both sides. Yes?
Is there any kind of legal process in calling that vote? Can they just have some kind of secret handshake fucking meeting
No.
between 3 guys?
No, so the law is very clear about that. So what happens is, they have the right, to vote. So they had their meeting, and during the meeting, they said, we need whatever X amount of cards, 'cause I don't know the number that, there's no set base on the collective bargaining unit on the bat, it's just what they're thinking it is, right? So I don't know what they were thinking the collective bargaining unit was. They had enough for 30%. They have to go to the labor board and file with the labor board and notify us, right? So they told the technicians that they wanted everybody to sign, so they go to a vote to become union. Step one, and what they did is that they didn't ask for a vote. They came to us and asked us, they said, we have enough in the collective bargaining unit for you, and we want you to recognize us as a union, and we want to start negotiations on Wednesday. And we said, no, we want to put it to a vote. We want that vote. With nobody, we want to vote where the labor board is there, with an employee representative from DirectSat's there, an employee representative from the union is there, it's in a room, and everybody goes and casts a private, totally anonymous vote, right? Just yes or no, no names, no nothing, you cast your vote. That's what we want.
What you maybe ask, they have to let us know. They
Yes.
can't just go in and
Right.
vote without
Right.
every last person here but being available to go to.
Right, so that's what I'm explaining. So the labor board, so they asked us to do that. They asked us to recognize them without the vote. We came back and said, no, we want the vote. So now the labor board has to come back to us and say, this is going to be the date of the vote. And that campaign starts from both sides, right? So they also said that they wanted to try to do a secret ballot vote, which was, we're gonna send you a ballot in the mail to your home, and then you can cast your vote and send it back in. Again, we wanna make sure that as a right, that you are all representative, and we don't want the opportunity for us, for them, for anybody to be standing over their shoulder and threatening, pushing, doing whatever we want. We want you to go into a secret ballot room held with the labor board and say, here's my vote, yes or no. So there won't be a secret vote, no. We will be well aware of the date, and we will let everybody know when that date will be. Give you the opportunity, whether you are for it or against it, to go and cast your vote for yes or no.
Well, good morning.
What was that?
So, well, good morning.
Hey Jeff,
Yes.
what kind of notice or do you not know what they give for that date for the vote?
So my understanding is that we're gonna get about a 2-week notice. There's a lot of legal stuff in there, and it's gonna come down that we have to, the biggest part of it's gonna be going to the labor board, and then we're gonna say who we want as a collective bargaining unit, who we think should be part of that unit, they're gonna say who that's gonna be part of that unit. So that goes on during that process, so that could make that even longer. But my understanding is at least 2-week notice before we would go to a vote at the shortest. That's my understanding on that. You'll have notice. It's not gonna be, I'm not gonna call you tonight and say there's a vote tomorrow. You'll have more of a notice.
So we're going beyond the next week and a half, for sure.
We're not, there's not gonna be any movement whatsoever in terms of the legal part of this until the government reopens, because the labor board is governed by, they're part of the shutdown. So the regional director of them, they're the one that has the pending petitions on his desk, and he's off work right now, so.
So you guys don't have any information on what they're trying to do with this union as far as like how they're trying to pay people, what they're trying to accomplish? Like anything? Like are they trying to say, oh, if we go union, you're gonna get double time on Sundays and this and that? Or is there no information about that?
So I have technicians attending meetings and coming back and volunteering what they're hearing. I'm hearing that they're promising different things to the Chicago South technicians as opposed to the Chicago North technicians. One of the things I heard from the Chicago North meeting was that they came back and said, we want you to park your vehicles at the office because it only benefits DirectSat to have you take your vehicles home, because they're translating that to the AT&T side that by you make me telling you to take your vehicle home, I have the right to keep you out later at night.
For those of you that don't understand what that means every day when you're done with your route,
You'll come
you
here.
park the vehicle here and then drive your personal vehicle home. So that's what they proposed.
And I can't tell you, promise you, one way or the other, what's gonna happen, right? Because if you decide that you want a union, then it'll, obviously, if that's what they wanna negotiate, then we'll have to go to good faith negotiations. I can tell you, in the way we operate right now, that doesn't work for me. Right? I want you to take your vehicles home.
Right, and inside a union, as a union, wouldn't the whole union, all the employees vote on that subject, saying, hey, this many percent say they wanna take it home, this many percent say
You
they
don't
don't?
have any say anymore once you sign that paper, bro.
So legally what happens when you're in a union,
Well, there's
you
a,
have the right to file a grievance with the union. The union doesn't necessarily have to take your grievance to a negotiation and negotiate on your behalf of that if it doesn't fit their needs for the union. So if just you have a grievance and you're specifically having an issue with something, you can take it to somebody. They may decide to come back to us and try to resolve your issue, or they may just say, I really don't care about that, it doesn't affect me as a union, we're not gonna do anything with it. So no, you don't have, they're not gonna come back to you and take a vote and say, what do you want us to negotiate and what you don't want to negotiate. They have promised changes to scorecard. They have promised, you guys won't have to hook up phone lines anymore. I can't say whether they can or cannot, make a difference or change. All I can say is that I'm contractually obligated to my customer to do certain things, and I can't make that change. It's in my contract. I can't stop hooking up a phone line, and I can't stop being held accountable to a metric. Just being honest, when we talk phone lines, that's revenue for our customer. So there's a lot that they're promising. They're.
Just another explanation, our customer, he means DirecTV, so.
You guys knew that, right? That's our customer.
Someone may not understand. Someone may not understand.
Is anybody going in this morning and doing addition stuff? Just networking stuff? Anybody doing Comcast?
Halloween.
Halloween?
So,
If we go union,
I know there's a lot of newer guys here, and just so they're aware, if they don't already know, DC passed a union and direct set, and it failed miserably. Never got it negotiated and voted it out in a year, so. You are thinking, do a lot of research into it.
Good point. So-
Separate Rockford.
So the union dues,
I wanna drive all the way out here for just a stupid vote.
Right.
it's part of your life. You're gonna have to do something, right? Whether you're for it or against it, you have to do
Yeah.